Hi, my name's Ouyang. I'm here in Northern Alabama in Meridian, and I'm going to be teaching a game of how to play Pitch Pot, which is a Chinese game of skill, in which players take turns trying to throw arrows into a pot with a belly at the bottom and a narrow top. I was just saying the arrows are standard sized arrows. The modern versions of this, which because it's still played, it's referred to as a traditional game. It's still played in China and Japan and Korea. Has various names there, but they use like a shorter arrow. If you look at the videos, still a blunted tip. But from what I could tell from period sources, they were just standard arrows. And especially we have a painting. Excuse me, we have a couple paintings, one where a pitch pot is in the background and another where from the Ming Dynasty where they're playing, and they look like standard size arrows. And you can see the blunted tips in that one. So the pot itself, let me take my arrows out here. I'll show you the pot. Oh. And I can't remember the name of the potter who made this for me. I will find it in my notes and I will post it in the link, but she did a wonderful job making this pot for me. The rings at the top were a later addition, because initially the theory goes that the game was invented by bored archers sitting around camp throwing arrows at wine jugs. So initially they didn't have these extra loops at the top. They might have like handles, but they didn't have the loops. So that was a later addition, as far as I can tell, and have a different point value. So say if the middle is 5 points, the sides are 1 point. It's full of beans in the bottom. I don't know if you can hear it. It's hard to shake. And that's to hold it steady. And it also gives the arrows something to bite once they're in there. Oh, kind of heavy. Extant ones are ceramic, metal, anything that they would have, made a pot out of. But we do have, the ones that we have are really, really pretty. And so arguably were made just for playing the game. But yeah. Like I said, arrows, standard length arrows, but blunted. These were made by Master Crispin in North Shield. Made those for me. So each round, oh, sorry, let me back up. So game of skill didn't have the same sort of status level as games like Go, which took more mental acumen to play. But probably a little bit better than, total games of chance like backgammon or versions of backgammon, which, it's roll of the dice, literally no skill at all. So it does take skill to do this. I'm really bad at it because I am bad at all the games I teach. So it was, again, bored archers throwing arrows at wine jugs, but it's also very, very similar in that regard. There was a children's game that was, tossing coins at a target. Archery competitions were a really, really big deal in China, like to the point where, we've got records of arguments being just, decided by archery competitions and stuff like that. So it had a level of importance, but it wasn't as high as, as Go, because that was like, you're a really awesome person in terms of aristocracy and, your culturedness because you're good at Go. Each round consists of 4 throws by each player. There was drum music involved in order to mark the beginnings and ends of rounds. When you had different rules for if you played it inside versus outside. So inside, a game is 5 rounds. When, it's played in a courtyard or a hall, it was 7 rounds. And if you were outside, it was 9 rounds. So, I'm not sure why. Okay. I don't know. I just know the rule set that we have that has been translated makes a point to say the number of rounds is different if you're here versus there. So yeah, I was assuming that if you're inside, it's a more enclosed space, you've got lots of people around you, you want it to be a shorter game versus if you're outside, there's lots of other stuff going on. I don't know. That's a guess. So yeah.
Also, to pause you for a second there, Ouyang, your camera, your wide shot camera is gone silent.
Oh! It went it's okay. I will fix it in a moment because I will make sure it's running before I start throwing arrows.
Yep.
That is to the arrow throwing camera.
Yep.
So it's 4 throws by each player. When there's a scorekeeper, an official scorekeeper, and he announces the score at the end of each round. When you score, the scorekeeper will put a counter, up for you, and then at the end of your round, those counters get exchanged for a horse, which is like a bigger counter. And then the winner of that round is congratulated, and the loser is, and then the winner offers the loser a drink. And the whole offering of a drink and whatnot, again, very, very tied up in etiquette and, you know, social expectations and whatnot. So if you lose a round and you have to take a drink, your next round's maybe not going to be so great because now you're drinking. so yeah, depending on how many rounds long, you know, you're going. So yeah, and then at the very end, there's more congratulations, and the overall winner is congratulated by the losers. Again, this is in the rules that the loser has to congratulate the winner, and then they, you know, more drinking happens. So yeah, before I start throwing arrows at the pot, do we have any questions about sort of the basic rule set or anything?
There is nothing in the chat currently. If anybody has anything, just throw it up in the chat, and we'll be. I'll make sure Ouyang sees it.
Perfect.
Different view of me, and I'm trying to hold the arrow like that, which is maybe the wrong way to do it. I don't really know. Oh,
so close.
So close.
I feel like I'm playing a first-person shooter.
Oh man. So I found out about this game because I was watching a Chinese drama, Rise of the Phoenixes, which is on Netflix and is really awesome and not historical at all, but a fun drama. It's based on a novel. But at one point, this like head of the scholar's house is he's like an advisor, and he's having this argument with the emperor, and the emperor's like, well, if you beat me at pitch pot, you know, I'll do it your way. And I'm like, what is pitch pot? And then they did it, and I'm like, this cannot be a thing. And I was like, oh no, it's totally a thing. So yeah, I was really happy that they included that in the story because I got to learn about a really fun game. All right.
That's actually one of the benefits of those shows. Like, yeah, they're totally not accurate, but you do end up getting a nugget.
Well, I mean, tiny little bits of accuracy. There's my pupper. Right. Tiny little bits of things, you know, like, and actually in terms of, I mean, it's not accurate in the sense that it's like recounting historical events, because it's not, it's a novel, but the garb's not too bad, and the you know, pitch pot is in it, but it's a fun show. I totally recommend it. And it's not super tropey. It's not like, gosh, I get so close and then I get so. Nope.
You get just close enough to feel like you're doing well.
I've like flunked it a couple of times, but not. So I got to pick them all up now. But I mean, if you wanted to get really good at pitch pot, I would suggest get yourself a pitch pot and some arrows. And these had regular blunts on them, like the metal blunts, and then we put the cork on them because we were like, yeah, the metal blunts and the ceramic pot are maybe a bad combo. That was bad. But you would just, like those archers, you know, just practice because it's skill and you can develop that skill. And if my kids were older, that might be a thing that we would do and be like, hey, let's just go throw arrows at the pot, you know, this afternoon. Man.
So I am posting I found a couple of videos on YouTube of like actual like examples. So I'm posting those in the event as well. So
perfect.
Maybe get some better examples of people throwing arrows in
yeah. I'm not gonna pick up all the arrows. My dogs are talking to each other across the fence. That was dumb. Meh. Okay, well, you get the idea. They're supposed to go in the pot, and there's some diagrams. I think they're from either the very end of period or right out of period that talk about the difference between like if you score with it straight down versus if it lands this way or this way, or, you know, all the different ways it could land and what that means for scoring. But because I can't date those to Tang Dynasty, so I don't include them in my rule set. But yeah, there we go. Turn that back around. All right, so pitch pot. I'm sorry, I'm tired of throwing it. Any other questions in chat, Cal?
Nope, it's quiet in here. We've got the we have one check-in from Artemisia and one from Mid-Realm, so we have.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm so glad that y'all came to join us. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that if you search, you won't find it if you search pitch pot. You have to search the romanization of the characters, so the tofu or whatever. I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry. But if you search that in Amazon or eBay or something, you can find modern pitch pots. They're generally smaller. We based this one off of museum. Thank you. We based this one off of one in a museum, like the size of it. And there was also some description about how big it should be in the rule set that we have that's been translated. How big the pot should be. But you can find smaller ones. If I remember correctly, they're usually made out of metal, and then arrows to go with them. It's a fun game in, you know, the yard in the afternoon. We played it at MGT, and then we played it again at Meridian Grand Tournament. Sorry, and then we played it again at Magnifair. And we just took turns trying to throw arrows in the pot. We actually didn't play the game. We just took turns trying to throw the arrows in, and, you know, established basic skill level first.
Trying is the key word there, I think. Yeah.
Trying, yes, trying. It's hard. It's really hard. And I mean, and I'm outside, and it's kind of windy today. I'm sure you guys can probably hear that. And it wasn't at MGT or Magnifair, so I don't know how much the wind is messing with me.
Which you know, that could be another reason of playing shorter rounds inside versus outside.
Potentially, yeah.
The factor, so you get a larger disparity of scoring potentially.
Entirely possible, actually, yeah. I didn't think about that. Or like the sun was in my eyes, or all that stuff, all the things people can say. So yeah, perfect. So we'll do that and make sure that people who are wanting to do this class later have all of that information. Like I said, the handout's already linked there. This is a game that's still played. I don't know if it's played as prolifically as like Go is. Yay! That's so awesome, Michelle. I'm excited. Yay. And I will post a link to, I'll put the potter's name. I can't think of her name right now. And then Master Crispin Fletcher is who made the arrows. But like I said, they're just standard, you can see that, you know, reed arrows. I forget what feathers he used to fletch it with. And then it had a metal blunt, and we added the cork blunt to it because we didn't want to accidentally hurt the pot. So, and then the beans are just red beans. Just red beans. That was the easy part.
And if you need dinner, you just pour them out and put them in the pot. There you go.
Yeah, actually, when I bring it to events, I have to remember, because this lives on top of my dresser, because it's pretty, you know, like one of the extant images we have of it is from a painting of people playing Go, and it's in the background just on a table, you know, just hanging out back there. I'm like, hey, look, that's a pitch pot. You can see the arrows in it. So it lives on my dresser. I have to remember to take the beans out before I pack it for events, because otherwise I have beans all over the floor. Ask me how I know about it.
Yeah.
So yes. But no, it's a super fun game. If you go to bigger wars and whatnot, I highly encourage pitch pot as a, you know, do it in you know, don't do it where people are going to be walking and get in the way of, because there's still arrows. I mean, if you throw it hard enough, you could probably hurt somebody. But yeah, totally a fun game to play in between stuff, or, you know, having a lazy day in camp. So yeah. Thank you all for coming. If you have additional questions, or if you're coming into this later and you have a question, please feel free to post a question in the event, or I guess on the YouTube video, and I'll do my best to find them and answer them, or Cal will be like, hey, Mark, come learn a question. So yeah, cool. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Ouyang. You're amazing.
Bye. You are too. Thank you. Bye.